As a woman in the South, I've gone to many churches. I've seen women preachers, but they are few and far between. Some denominations embrace women as pastors, while others reject the idea entirely.
I'm Kathy Primo Steele, and I own a business called Co-Creating, which is a creativity coaching business. And I teach people one-on-one and also in group workshops to use their creativity to bring about balance and empowerment. And I have a woman that I've been working with who has written a wonderful book of poetry called The Garden, and it is a retelling of the Adam and Eve story from Eve's point of view. And it's really interesting because this woman was raised Catholic in Georgia, and so has come from a long line of good Southern tradition. And yet it's not exactly that she's leaving that behind, but that she's finding her own voice within it. And she's asking very simple questions like, why should Eve not be allowed to eat from the apple? Why should women be the helpmeets of men? Why are we the ones who have to have pain in childbirth and bear the guilt of the original sin? And so I think what happens as we find our own voices as women is that we start to be in a dialogue with the voices of our culture, the texts that have created who we are and what our culture believes in. I wrote a book called We Heal from Memory, which is about how multicultural American women have healed from traumatic histories ranging from colonization and slavery to child sexual abuse and domestic violence through poetry and also images of the spiritual in their lives. And one of the things that I discovered in writing that book and doing the research is that in the West we have a kind of odd disconnection between the spirit and the body. And particularly because we look at women as embodied creatures primarily rather than intellectual creatures. Women have been excluded from a lot of the discussions in mainstream churches and synagogues.
It's a labyrinth that I painted, and the labyrinth is an ancient symbol of going within and the walk that we take on our spiritual journeys, both internally and also externally throughout our lives.
I was a leader in a church for many years. As the church grew, there were new male members who disagreed with my leadership role because of my gender. I was removed from my position, and I promptly removed myself from that congregation.
But when the fundamentalists took control of the Southern Baptist Convention, they laid down the law. No women ministers. Fundamentalist Christians or Muslims or Jews. It's a very strong authoritarian bias against women, keeping women in a submissive, inferior state to men. That seems to be a tenet of fundamentalism across religions. But we have fought for equal rights for women from the very beginning. I mean, even way back in the 1800s with Julia Ward Howe and Susan B. Anthony, they were Unitarians, and so they've been fighting for systemic change, not just individual change, one woman at a time, but try to change the whole system to allow equality for women. And of course, I know even in our congregation itself, we have a lot of women who are directly involved in the ERE movement back in the 70s.
The first woman ordained with full ministerial standing recognized by denomination was Olympia Brown. She was a Unitarian ordained on June 25, 1863.
is Tiffany Nolan, and I am 29, and I am the pastor of College Place United Methodist Church here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Faith is not about how you feel or how things always look. 'Cause sometimes when things look bad, usually they feel bad too. So faith is not always about what it looks like or what it feels like. But Laura says, faith is merely about keeping your eyes open. It's about making the decision to keep on looking for God even when darkness abounds.
Right now, I am the first female pastor of the church where I'm serving, and I think a lot of people have the mindset and idea that they read the biblical text, and there's certain portions of the text that says a woman should not teach a man or instruct a man. We live in a very different era. We live in a very different time. We have to consider context. We also have to consider that Paul says there's neither Greek nor Jew, nor male nor female, nor male nor female, but all are one in Christ Jesus.
So if you feel you have a voice to be a pastor, don't let outdated traditions stop you. There are many congregations that will embrace you as a woman and as a leader.